tuning in. It's Sabrina here and welcome to another video. Now this video is all about the mistakes I've made in my property journey, and I think you guys will benefit from them hugely. They will save you money, they will save you time, they will save you headache and heartache, because when you take on a project, it becomes your life. So I'm going to go through these mistakes, some lessons, some mistakes that I think will be very useful to you on your journey as you go into property development. So starting from my first project, it was my first time, no, not even project actually. Starting from, it was when I first had a rent to rent. It was a 5-bedroom rent to rent, and what we needed to do is get the handyman type of guy who would come in, paint all the walls, change some of the flooring, put in a new wall, because it had those huge front rooms. So we needed a new wall and a door in there, and then do some works in the kitchen. So we went and got 3 quotes, and I went with the cheapest quote. And you know, again, doing my first rent to rent, I really wanted to spend as little money as possible. So we went with the cheapest quote, and boy was that a bad mistake, because getting on board was really easy, but it was keeping him engaged throughout the renovation. I mean, he wanted to come in, start the works, and then talk to you at the end, whereas I wanted to understand what was going on during the project. As well as that, when I visited, he wasn't really there that much, and that was really frustrating, because I really had a 1-week turnaround to come in and do all this work. It's not a huge amount of work, and if you needed help, employ help. But no, he said he can do it all, and it took him, he said it'll take him a week. It ended up taking him 4 whole weeks of me nagging, going on and on and on, and then eventually he finished the work. I was really upset, because I remember going in and seeing the thick paint. It's almost like he'd done 3 layers of paint on the wall, and it just looked horrible. And I remember thinking to myself, why does it look so thick? Because when we first done it, I thought 1 or 2 licks of paint would be fine. But it's like he'd done 3 or 4, and it just seemed really excessive. They were existing walls, but even for the new walls that went up, the paint just looked thick, and I really didn't like the finish. It was absolutely horrible. And the door handles, it's almost like he screwed it into the door, realized it's in the wrong place, and then screwed new ones into the door, and then tried to put wood over it, wood filler over it, and it just didn't have that smooth finish. Because you can do that, but it could have, you know, you need to have a smooth finish. It's a new door, but he didn't do any of that. So I was really upset with that, and that was my first mistake, is going with the cheapest builders. I realized you don't do that all the time. Sometimes get your 3 quotes and go with the one in the middle, but make sure you see their work, because I don't believe I didn't go and see his work either. I just thought, oh my gosh, you know, builder, you could do it. And we had a chat on the phone, the communication was good, and then that happened. So that's what made me realize I need to go and see their work, because this is ridiculous. But my next mistake was on a HMO that I'd done in Croydon. It was a 3-bedroom and turned it into a 6-bedroom HMO. It was the worst ever, from beginning to the end, and I'll tell you why. First of all, I said, let me go and get 3 quotes, and then we can decide on who we're going to roll with. As well as that, I'd been doing a lot of networking at the time, and I'd spoke to some people who had done HMOs, specifically 3 to 6 bedrooms, and I got the quotes that they had paid, and they were all around the same. So the 3 builders I got in was 65,000. The works that people told me that they'd already paid was 65,000. So I knew 65,000 pounds, but I told the stakeholder, my client, and he said no, I want it for 30,000. So after a lot of running around, I found builders who said they can do it for 30,000, and I knew this was going to be wrong. I knew this was going to be wrong, and I just didn't know how. Now again, it was my first time doing a project, so a lot of stuff I didn't really know. So we took down a lot of walls, put up some new walls, we moved the kitchen from the ground floor to the first floor. But the beautiful thing is we had to have HMO involved, and we had to have building control involved, and I thought these guys would be my safety measure. They'd be my safety net, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and I gotta do this renovation, but I can do it. At this time, I did have a mentor. Shout out to Dina Honey. And she doesn't do mentor anymore, but I did have a mentor. She was super, and she pretty much guided me on this as well, but she guided me on mainly how to deal with the investor, not necessarily dealing with the builder, and that was interesting. The first mistake I made is not visiting at the crucial parts of the renovation going on. My plan always was to go there 3 times a week, which I did, but he didn't tell me when the key parts were going on. So when a bathroom is being installed, you want to go there the same day or straight after it's been installed, because you want to make sure it's laid out right, it's all in the right way. It's exactly how you pictured it to be. On this particular occasion, I didn't do that. I went probably about maybe 2 or 3 days later, and it didn't make a huge difference, but these are the things that slow projects down. And if you're on a time constraint, which I was on a very tight time constraint, then you want to make sure you're on top of this, and you're there, bathroom goes there, shower there, you know, you're managing this thing. What happened is I came in 2 or 3 days later, the bathroom had already gone in. There's an ensuite, and the bath, literally you had the sink, the toilet, and the shower. The toilet and the sink were literally like this. And I said, so I remember trying to get into this gap. I and I angled myself. I can't get into this. I can't sit on the toilet and then lean. And I'm a female. We gotta lean. But man, you could just stand in there in that little gap right between the two. And they probably did try it with those themselves. But with me, when I tried it, I couldn't fit in the damn thing. So I said, look at me. I haven't pretended I was going to. See, I can't lean forward because the sink touched my breast. He was angry, and so was I. So that was really frustrating, because then that meant having to find a new sink. He said to me, I didn't budget for an expensive sink. I budgeted for this sink, because again, he's doing the whole renovation. That is coming at 65, he's doing it for 30. So he's done bottom line material on everything. So that was a huge mistake that I made. So and that cost us a bit of money, because then I had to provide that sink. Another thing was when we first got started on the project, the first thing you do is just wipe down all the walls. Alright, this guy's called Peter. I will name and shame his ass, because he put me through hell. Peter, literally, Peter Lewis. Oh my god, I'm really naming and shaming. But how many, you go on YouTube, you go on Facebook and try and find Peter Lewis, you ain't gonna find him. What he done now is he went into the property and started tearing down all the walls. Now I had building control come straight away. As soon as the walls went down and the timber frame goes in, that's when they want to come. And you wouldn't believe what happened. She got there and said, right, for timber walls you use 2x4s. You've used 2x2s. I said, what? She said, you're supposed to use 2x4s. And I was like, go and see Pretty Please, what the hell you done here? Look. And he's like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Again, this is him trying to keep his costs low. This is why you don't go with the low price, because they're low for a reason. So he said to me, what do you mean? What do you mean? So I said, all right, come and talk to building control. So it was a lovely African lady. And let me tell you, she's like, she knew this was new for me. So she kind of took it all on. And I'm like, yes, stick up for me, girl. So I said, look, because the thing with Peter is he's so argumentative. You tell him A, he wants to say B, C, D, E, F. And then I knew from the very first day we met, I wasn't going to get along with this man. I knew it. But my client said, perfect, we will use him. And I'm like, no! I thought this is going to be one hell of a ride. And sure was it. So cut long story short, building control said, look, these are 2x2s. And he says, well, you know. And I'm looking at him thinking, you said that you are project manager for Berkeley's Home. Berkeley's. He's a project manager for Berkeley's Homes. Huh? So that was the first rookie mistake. Another mistake is not being clear on your standard. You're not being 100% clear on the standard that you're trying to achieve. So I went in there and said, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. I even showed some pictures, but what I didn't do is be really clear on that I wanted like invisible lines between the tiles. So there's where you can pull up tiles and make it appear so the line is really, really thin. I don't want you putting silicone around the sink and then you use your finger to go all around. They use their finger to go all around it. I hate that with a passion. That for me is low end. So when I'm telling them, I'm saying, look, you know the tool that you use to go around to do the tile, use that tool. Don't use your finger. I'm saying making sure that the grout is clear. And I'm saying, look, when you guys have put this, you stick stuff on with glue, make sure there's no residue, because sometimes when you allow the glue to dry, the residue stays there, and then you're spending time trying to take it all off, and it just looks horrible. I like lines to be symmetrical. I don't like where you're doing two tiles and one's like that and one's like that. Unless it has to be like that, don't do that. Don't do that. I like things to be really nice and neat. They say Virgos are very are perfectionists. You can say that. You can say that if you want. But the builder and I will spend a lot of time at the end of that project going around, or he will spend a lot of time going over his work if he's not doing that in the first place. So that's why it's very important to be very clear on exactly the finish you want to do. One good thing you can do is bring pictures. Bring pictures with you of what you've achieved before, or what it is that you want to see. So you bring a picture of a kitchen that Howden's got lots of pictures in there. Say, hey, look at this. I want this finish here. I want it to be neat. You see how it's all neat? Everything's lined. The squares are a square and a circle is a circle. Yes, that's what I want. So things like, you know, I recently worked on a project where they put carpet in, and then some of the carpet corners raised, so it's like it's a flipping slope. So I'm like, so come in here, look at that. Does that look straight to you? Oh, get your ruler thing with the bubble in it. Get that. Let's put the angle on the floor and see if that bubble goes right in the middle. I allow them to see their mistake. One mistake I nearly made is the builder. I kept calling him back to do things because he would go to the house and say, okay, for example, the hood, the oven hood, right? We installed a nice brand new oven. It's a brand new kitchen. It looks absolutely beautiful. The hood goes in and I go there, and when I'm walking around the end of the project, I'm checking everything. I'm checking the oven. I'm pretending I'm cooking. I'm putting all the cooking. I'm opening up every single door. I'm even putting some stuff on the shelves to make sure they don't fall down. I'm pressing on the shelf to make sure it doesn't fall down. I'm turning on the tap. I'm turning off the tap. I'm living there. I don't physically live there, but I act like I'm living there because I want to make sure it all works. So on this occasion, I turned on the hood. It didn't come on. I turned on everything. I'm like, wait a minute, surely it comes on. Nothing came on. So then what I done, I turned on all the rings, and then the rings didn't come on. So the rings came on, but the oven didn't come on, because you know a lot of it's separate now. You're buying 3 separate pieces: the hood, the rings, and the oven. So the oven didn't come on. So I call him and say, hey, the oven's not working. So he call me back and say, right, I've done it now. It's all gone. I've sent the electrician. He's done it. Boom, boom. That's it. So I go there. I said, great. Let me go and check it out. So I go and check it out. None of the ting work. None of the ting work. So I call him, hey, you said it works. It's not working. He says, oh, well, isn't it? It worked, but it did work. He told me it worked. He told me it worked. So I said, well, it doesn't work. Did you come and check? He said, no. Okay. Let me tell you something. I'm working with you. You're working with your electrician. You need to check your electrician's work before I come out and check it. I shouldn't be checking your electrician's work because that's what you do. Then call me once it's done. I'll be back tomorrow. Please make sure it's done. Thank you. Now, you don't always have to talk to your builder like that. Like I said, you know, it's a relationship. But when you're getting to the end of your feather, honey, there's time where you got to be assertive. That's not rude. It's called assertion. So that was one mistake I made. Is that's not even a mistake, that's a tip. One mistake I did make is it was the end of the project. I'd done the walk around maybe about 1 million times by now. Okay, maybe not over exaggeration, probably about 3 times, and I'd call him back each time, hey, you need to do this, and I'm building list after list after list after list of stuff that he needs to do. And it's like every time I'm back there, I'm noticing different things. So what I'm finding is that the work he's doing is all right, but it doesn't seem to last. For example, when I went there, we had laid down vinyl flooring, right? And he got his floor specialist to come in, lay down the flooring. But what had happened is after you leave and it's all the glue's dried up, the floor starts bubbling. So I'd go back 2 days later and I'd say, hey, this floor looks like it's bubbling. Like, you know, it looks like I can press it and it goes in. Why is it like that? It should be smooth. I should be able to wear high heels on this. Yeah, I can't wear high heels on this right now. And that's a problem. So he's telling me that, you know, I'll check it. And then he's checking it and it's not being checked. It's almost like you think like one day I wear contacts and the next day I don't. So you think that on this day when you've called me to say it's done, I'm going to come and I'm so going to not have my contacts in. Not that I wear contacts. I don't have any problems with my eyes, thank goodness. But on this one occasion, he done this. And let me tell you, this is why when you're having a project, you need to walk around and check it like you live in that house. And I mean everything. When you go inside that bathroom, you lift up that toilet seat and sit on the toilet seat and make sure that it doesn't move. Because that's what I did. I sat on it and I fell off. I nearly fell off. I was like, well, what's this? The flipping toilet seat wasn't even screwed on. So I'm like, what, are you trying to save time or what is it? Then I finish. I didn't even go to the toilet, but you know, I've done the whole action. I finish. I go and pretend to wash my hands. Nothing comes out the tap. Bear in mind, this is the day I'm supposed to pay. But I think there's something, when you know you're about to spend the last piece of money, like you're some other kind of brainwave comes and you're like, nah, there's something not right. There's something, you know, my spooks go up and looking for every kind of error. This occasion I used that, and I'm sure I did check these things, but you know what it is? It's the toilet that flushes. The bath worked, the shower worked. It was an electric shower. The shower worked, the bath worked. The only thing that didn't work is the sink. So I turned on the sink, nothing comes out. So I'm like, well, what is that? Something says open the door underneath. You know those ones where you have the 2 doors at the bottom? I opened up the 2 doors at the bottom. There's no pipe work. No pipe work! No pipe work! How did I miss this? to me, you know what, something's not right here. So I write that down on my list. At this time, my intuition is in full flow. I look inside the bath, I see a dent, and I'm like, why is there a dent in the bath? Something's obviously dropped in the bath and he's tried to kind of silicone it over. Hello? Hello? What, do you think I'm not gonna see that? It's the audaciousness of them. So one thing that happened before, I'm gonna get off this topic of this house. I can be here for a little while as well, but I'm gonna come off this one. But one thing he did is, right, he was supposed to have an area where people come and wash their clothes and do everything like that. They call that a utility area, right, in the house. And what he done is, he was supposed to put plumbing work there. Plumbing work for drainage and plumbing work for the water that feeds the washing machine. So the pipe goes down the wall and it curves under the wall. At the very bottom, it curves under into the wall, and it's supposed to connect to the drain and then go out the house, right? That's what it's supposed to do. Something drew me to that pipe. Something said, go and check it. So I went and checked it and I thought, right, let me get on my knees, right? So I got on my knees. I looked down to see where this pipe connects because I want to make sure the connection's right. You know what? It was a brick wall. It goes down and into a brick wall. I couldn't believe it. It goes down and into a brick wall. The drainage pipe. So the new people who are coming by this house, this is what they're going to have the experience of. Then they're going to tell the agent. Then the agent's going to come to me and say, yo, your houses are mad. You can't sell through us no more. If I never checked and never found these errors, that's a rookie mistake. So fortunately, I was guided by the Almighty, and he led me to these pipes that had not been fixed, which we'd paid extra for. So I was not happy about that. That's not really a mistake again either. That's a tip. But just to remember and keep in mind that you have to check all the work. It's a bit embarrassing, you know. People always want to talk about the glossy side. You watch Homes Under the Hammer and you realize it's not as beautiful and as glossy as it all looks. That, you know, there's a lot of mistakes that do happen and you don't really get to see those. So the mistakes happen in terms of, you know, just not liaising correctly with your builder and be clear on what your specification is and what your expectations are. That's huge. Not establishing communication channels. You've got to establish those communication. They've got to know what you're doing. Are you coming 3 times a week? Are you coming 4 times a week? Are you guys going to communicate over the phone? How much time are you going to update me? You know, is he able to send you pictures on the days that you can't come if you can't do the 2 or 3 days a week or the 4 days a week? Being very clear, especially with specifications. If they give you very clear specifications on things you got to order, go and order them and stick to that. You know, make sure you're sticking to measurements. I mean, I took the liberty one day of ordering the shower door the wrong size, and I only ordered the shower door with the wrong size because I thought rather than get one that has that silver finish all around it, which was nice, I wanted one that was just like a see-through effect all the way through. So I thought, well, if I get that and they're the same size, then that should be okay. But I was mistaken because it had to connect to something. That glass wouldn't have been all that was there because it didn't allow for space for connection pieces. I'm not thinking about connections. I'm just thinking about how it's going to look, the anesthetically pleasing look, you know? So that was a huge mistake on my part. So yeah, just making sure you're sticking to what the builders say. So I really hope you have found this video useful. If there's anything else I can help with, if there's any questions I can answer, if there's any comments you may have, please put those on the video below and I'll be sure to be in that comment section communicating with you all, guys, because this is a big topic. It's a very big topic. I myself, I have experience in HMOs, doing developments. I have experience in doing just single cosmetic renovations where you're just turning you're changing all the interior of the property. And I also have experience on changing the structural elements of the properties. So when we've done a HMO and changed it from a 3-bedroom house to a 6-bedroom 3-ensuite HMO, that entailed changing a lot of the structure and then liaising with building control. So that was really useful experience for me to have, and it's information that I can pass on to you and hope that it helps you too. And one last thing is, make sure you always have a specification. You want to have a specification of works, which is all the things that you want for your building, whether you're going to have white floors, red floors, what kitchen, what bathroom, all the details. Make sure you have a schedule of works, and that's the scheduling, when it's going to go in, what's the date, over what period of time, and you'll see the dates, you'll see the months, you'll see, you'll block off as it's going, as the renovation's going on, you'll block off going down. Always leave notes, have a section for notes, and then you'd have, on the far left, you'd always have something that's where you have the details of exactly what's going in, and break that down. Don't just put electric first fix. What does that entail as well? Because that doesn't happen in all in day. That can happen in a week. It can happen over 2 weeks. So depending on how big the project is. So make sure you've got all those details there included. Again, that's me. I really hope you found this useful. If you're, make sure you subscribe. There's a lot of good content on this channel, all about property for newbies, but I will be touching on other topics as well. So make sure you subscribe, and if there's any information or things that you want me to cover, let me know. If you're interested in mentoring, get in touch. I can help you get started on your journey, and I can provide you clarity on how to find investors, how to go about it, how to find your first project, how to save money so you can find your first project, and just basically show you things that I've done. The only thing I'll be mentoring people on is things that I've done. I wouldn't mentor on anything else other than that. So get me while I'm available. Anyway, I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll see you at the top. Stay tuned.